Right guys, welcome to a CrosseMaths lesson. Okay, this is higher tier today and we're going to be doing upper and lower bounds. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video for me. Pause it here and have a go at the challenge grid in front of you. Loads of topics to get on with and take your time, okay? 18 points altogether. Right guys, so you should be done now. If you paused it just then, we should be done and we should be ready to go. So I'm just going to go through each one individually, okay? It doesn't matter how long it takes you, just take your time with questions like this, okay? That's why I'm doing it this way, because it means it's better for you, because you get more time to do each question. Now the first one, okay? I've got a little bit of factorising and solving, okay? It means factorise it into a double bracket. Now I've got to find two numbers that multiply to make positive 9 and add to make negative 6. So I'm going to have x plus some x minus some x plus some x minus some. Two numbers that multiply to make 9. The only ones I can think of are 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. Okay, if it's going to add to make a 6, it's going to be a 3 and a 3. They're both going to be have to be negative 3 in order to make negative 6. So 2 minus 3 and a positive 9, that works perfectly. Now, if I want to solve this to make 0, these brackets, one of them will have to cancel out. There's only one x value that will cancel one of the brackets out, and that's x equals positive 3. Because 3 take away 3 and make nothing. They'd times together then, and they would just cancel out to make 0. So my solution, my one solution is x equals 3. First question done. 2 points. Again, as usual, add your points up as we go along. Second one, a bit of standard form. Okay, what I want you to do is focus on the first two numbers first. I got 4.6 and 2. Those two numbers, you times them together normally, okay, if you're multiplying in standard form. I'm going to multiply them as if there's nothing else going on. 4.6 times by 2 gives me 9.2. Then the powers, when you do in standard form, you add the powers together. So I'm going to add those two up. Times 10, 6 plus 3 gives me 9. So my answer is 9.2 times 10 to the power of 9. Next one. A little bit of indices now. It looks more complicated than it is. Okay, there's 3 rules going on. You've got the negative rule, you've got the square rule, and you've got the divided by 3 rule. The negative rule is the one I'm going to do first. All that means is flip it upside down. If you got 1 over 216 and you flip it upside down, all you end up with is positive 216 to the power of 2/3. Once I'm there, I'm going to do the bottom bit first. I'm going to do the fraction 3 first, only because it'll make it a simpler number to deal with. That means cube root. If I'm cube rooting 216, I'm going to work out what number times by itself 3 times gives you 216. 6 times 6 times 6 gives you 216. So my answer is going to be 6 to the power of 2. Because I've used the divided by 3, it disappears. 6 squared just gives me an answer of 36. Normally towards the end of the paper, usually worth 2 marks. Very, very straightforward question. Next one, 0.084 occurring. Okay, right, it's a fraction. Okay, I'm going to make it into an equation first. I've got 0.08484 going on all day. Okay, I'm going to get the first 2 recurring digits over the decimal point. To do that, I'm going to times by 1,000. Equals 84.84 going on. Okay, the people who have seen me do this before will know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to line the 84s up. In order to do that, I'm going to have to times the top one by 10 now to get the recurring digit touching the decimal point. And you can see all the recurring bits on the end are lined up now. If I do exactly as I would do with simultaneous equations and I take away, the recurring bits will disappear. 1,000 take away 10 is 990. 84 take away 0 is just 84. And if I divide through, I know that x equals 84 over 990. And if you simplify down, you may get an answer smaller than this. I get 22 over 225. Okay, I can't think of an answer, 21, sorry, over 225. I can't think of an answer smaller than that. Maybe 7 over 75 works as well. Okay, just simplify it as much as you can. Okay, but the main work is done at the top. Next one. So I've got simplifying a bit of surds. Okay, times in the 2 front ones together. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, that's the first 2. Then the outside edges. 6 times negative 5 root 7 is just minus 30 root 7. All you're doing is multiplying the 6 by the 5 and then putting it in front of the root 7. Multiply the inside edges next. 4 times 8 is 32. And then the root 7 just goes on the end. And then the last 2, this is the difficult one people get wrong. 4 times 5 is 20. Root 7 times root 7 just gives you 7. 20 times by 7 gives you negative 140. Okay, so you multiply the numbers together first, and then you've got to multiply the square roots together, but they actually cancel each other out. So what I've got, I can simplify some of this. The 48 and the minus 140 go together to give you minus 92. And then the minus 30 root 7 plus 32 root 7 is the same as doing negative 30x plus 32x. This gives you positive 2 root 7 as a final answer. Right guys, so product of prime factors, okay, we'll need a little bit of space for this one. I haven't really got it, but it doesn't matter. Okay, 360, if I'm going to break that down, okay, you could break it down any way you like. I'm going to go for 10 and 36 first. Anytime you get a prime number, so I've got 5 and 2, I'm going to circle them. Okay, 36, I get 6 and 6. They break down into 3 and 2, 3 and 2. That's how it looks, okay? All you're trying to do is break down the number above into two numbers below the times together to make the number above. Okay, so 10 breaks down into 5 and 2. 2 times 5 makes 10. Once you're there, you write them all in one line. So I've got 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 makes 360. Okay, that'll simplify to 2 cubed times by 3 squared times by 5 equals 360. Final answer, that's it, job done. Very straightforward topic, it's worth learning. Don't get any of your heavily intermediate topics wrong when you're in higher tier. This is another one that is heavily focused on intermediate pupils, but higher tier people take it for granted. So, I got my opposite side, because it's opposite the angle. I got my hypotenuse, and I got my adjacent, okay? I got my 3 sides. Now, I'm going to do SOHCAHTOA for this whole diagram, okay? Look at the side that doesn't have a number or a letter attached. Adjacent has x, hypotenuse has 9, opposite doesn't have a letter or a number, so I'm going to get rid of it. You'll notice that K is the only one with 3 digits remaining, so I draw that as a triangle. Okay, I'm looking for my adjacent side, x, so I cover that with my thumb. If you cover the A with your thumb, you'll see all you're left with is C times H. So I'm going to do that on the bottom. A equals cos, which is C, 34. Times by h, which is 9. Times those together, you will need a calculator for this bit. Only to get your final answer, and you should get 7.46 centimetres. Really straightforward, okay? Again, every single time I do a question, you may want to pause it just to write the answer down if you got it wrong. Okay, I'm going to do this one above it only because I'm lacking space. H is indirectly proportional to B when H equals 10 and B equals 50. So H is indirectly proportional to B. That means H, you do 1 over B, because that means when B gets bigger, H gets smaller, and when H gets bigger, B gets smaller. That's the way that works. Once you're there, if I want to form that into a proper equation, I write H equals K over B. Now you've got to try and find out what K is. That's the important bit. I know H is 10 when B equals 50. So 10 equals K over 50. That would mean, if I times through, K equals 500. So my formula, if I substitute K back in, H equals 500 over B. Job done. Last one, okay? Once you know H equals 500 over B, if you're ever given one of the values, you can work out the other one. You can see, find the value of H, this bottom line, find the value of H when B equals 80. Okay, cool, I'm just going to substitute that in. H equals 500, over 80. Okay, you can simplify that down to 50 over 8. If you divide through, you should get 6.25. If you divide through using bus stop, or if you have a calculator, use a calculator. Very straightforward question. Another topic worth learning, okay? Right, last one, very last one, then we can move on to some actual work that we want to do today. So, simultaneous equations, okay, you want to make the y's the same. That's always my suggestion, okay? Try and make the y's the same because it'll make it easier in the long run. Okay, I'm going to make the two y values into a 12. So I'm going to times the top by 3, I'm going to times the bottom by 4. If I times the top by 3, I end up with 9x plus 12y equals 21. And the bottom by 4, I end up with 8x, take away 12y, equals 64. Now, because you know they're the same, you can just add them together and they'll disappear. 9 plus 8 is 17x. 12y plus minus 12y makes nothing. 21 plus 64 makes 85. 17x is 85. If I divide through by 17, I know the next value of 5. Now once I know that, I'm going to substitute it back into the top one. 3x plus 4y equals 7. Okay, 3 lots of x is 15, so I can write 15 plus 4y equals 7. 15, I'm going to take it away from both sides, so I end up with 4y equals negative 8. 4y equals negative 8. If I divide through by 4, y equals negative 2. Final one, job done. Right guys, add up your scores, okay? Add up whatever you got so far. Okay, it should be over 18. If you're getting 4 marks on that, I'd be really, really impressed. Make sure you're honest with yourself, okay? Don't just give yourself marks you think you deserve them when you copy a bit of my answer. Right guys, so a little bit of rounding, okay? We can do rounding, but I'm just going to kind of go through because it'll make sense on what we're doing today. Round 46 to the nearest 10. Well, the 6 is 5 or more, so that's going to have to go up to the nearest 10 to 50. Round this to 1 decimal place. If I draw my line in, okay, if I look to the right, it's a 4, so that'll round down to 83.4. Okay, pause the video and have a go at the ones on the right hand side for me. Right guys, so you should have finished them now. Round that to the nearest 10, that's a 123, because the 3 is 4 or less, I'm going to have to round that down to 120. 1 decimal place, 523.55. If I'm rounding to 1 decimal place, that's a 5 to the right of my line, so I'm going to have to round that the 5 on the left up by 1, and it's going to go to 523.6. Okay, rounding is really easy. We're doing rounding today, essentially, but we're kind of doing it backwards. Okay, what we're doing is upper and lower bounds. Now, we've been given a number that's been rounded already. Strongman claims to have eaten around 80 hamburgers last week, rounded to the nearest 10. How many could he have eaten? Okay, so we've been given a number already that's been rounded. How much could he have eaten? Well, the least number that he could have eaten and still rounded up to 80 could have been 75. He could have eaten 75 and they've rounded it up to 80. That makes sense. That's the lowest number. That's called the lower bound, and that's really important. You may want to pause the video at this point and just write down anything you think is useful. Okay. Now, what's the biggest number he could have eaten? Okay, well, the biggest number he could have eaten, for argument's sake, is 84.9999999 going on forever. Okay, that's the biggest number he could have eaten, and it's still rounded down to 80. However, we can't do maths with that number. So what we do, for the sake of argument, we call it upper bound in maths, we call it 85. So if you're given a number 80, and it's been rounded to the nearest 10, it could have either been anywhere down to 75, or anywhere up to 85. Okay, and it'll make the sums a lot easier as well. Okay, so you may want to write some of this down, it's up to you. You've got the opportunity to pause the video whenever you like. So, Strongman claims to have eaten around 80 hamburgers last week. This is rounded to the nearest 10. Nearest 10 also means, and this is super important, okay, and it may be worth writing it down, 5 above and 5 below. Okay, so if he's eaten 80, it could be anywhere up to 75, or it could be anywhere down from anywhere up to 85. So it could be anywhere in between those two red lines. Okay, that's the important bit you've got to stress with upper and lower bounds. Now there is a quick way of doing it. Okay, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Okay, first things first. Find the upper and lower bound of 350 to the nearest 10. So let's say I got 330, 340, 350, 360, and 370 done by here. Okay, we want 350 to the nearest 10. This is going to be 5 above and 5 below. So 355. And 345. So my upper bound, I'll do my lower bound first. My lower bound is 345. My upper bound is 355. Okay, so it could be anywhere between those two numbers if it was rounded. Pause the video, guys, have a go at the one on the right. Right, so find the upper and lower bound of 200 to nearest 10. Okay, you can use the number line at the bottom if you want to, it's up to you. But we know it's 5 above and 5 below. 5 below is 195. 5 above is 205. These are called degrees of accuracy, okay? This is what, basically, if someone gets a question wrong, and they were within a certain amount. Right then, so same thing works if you round it to the nearest whole number, 1 decimal place, and so on. It always works, okay? Find the upper and lower bound of 45 to the nearest whole number. So let's go 43, 44, 45, 46, 47. Okay, it could be anywhere up to this point and down, anywhere up to this point and down. Okay, remember with the nearest 10, you halved it, added it on and took it away, because it was 5 above and 5 below. It's the same thing with this. If it's to the nearest whole number, it could have been anywhere up to 45.5 or anywhere down to 44.5. and both of those would work. So that's lower bound, 44.5, upper bound, 45.5. Really straightforward. Pause the video now and have a go at the same thing with the number 90. Right then, so find the upper and lower bound of 90 to the nearest whole number. Okay, 90, similar thing to what we did with 45. Okay, the lower bound, the lowest it could be, is 89.5 if it's rounded to the nearest whole number. Remember, we're dealing with decimal places now. Upper bound could be anywhere up to 90.5. Really straightforward questions, guys. So what I'd like you to do, before we move on to some GCSE questions, can you pause the video and have a go at the questions on the left? This is an example, and this bit down by here is super important, okay? Helpful hints, it'll tell you kind of what to do. Pause the video, guys, have a go. Right, guys, so mark whatever you've done so far. If you got most of them right, you really get this. If you got some of them wrong, that's okay. Okay, just make sure you kind of understand the gist of what I'm doing. Again, it's important maybe to get this helpful hints box down, because it makes loads of sense when I do it. Okay, so if it says to the nearest 10, you half it, you add it on and take it away. Right then, guys, so a GCSE question. I'll pause the video now and I'd like you to have a go at this GCSE question. Right then, so I'm going to go through it. So I've got 38 centimetres by 26. I always draw a picture with 26. Each measurement to the nearest centimetre now. 38, if it's measured the nearest centimetre, that's the nearest 1 centimetre. If I half that and take it away, I got 37.5. If I half that and add it on, I get 38.5. Make sure I put my units in as well. Same with 26. Okay, that could have been anywhere up to, okay, 26.5, and anywhere down to 25.5. It could have been either of those. When they say calculate the least possible area, that means you've got to use the two smallest values it could have been. So the two lowest things that it could have been, and this will be a calculator question, 37.5 times 25.5. The smallest possible area this could have been is 956.25 centimetres squared. Okay, very straightforward bounds question, okay? It's essentially using the skills you used earlier on and a little bit of common sense. Right, guys, last one. Now, this is of a higher tier numeracy paper. Not easy, but I'm going to give you a go yourself first. If you're not confident enough to have a go, maybe just get some of the key points down. Okay, have a go at that. Pause the video now, have a go, and then I'm going to go through it. Right then, so, really straightforward question. What it's saying is, the wardrobe, the wall and the bookcase have all been rounded. The wall's been rounded to the nearest 10, the bookcase nearest 1 centimetre, and the wardrobe to the nearest 1 centimetre. Okay, his desk is exactly 2,000 millimetres, which is the same as 200 centimetres. Okay, and that's going to be really important towards the end. He wants to fit it in, okay? Will he definitely 100% have enough space to fit this in his room? What you've got to work out essentially is the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is the wardrobe, they've rounded it, but it was the biggest value. The bookcase, they've rounded it and it was the biggest value. And the wall was the smallest value. So that's the worst case scenario, okay? So if I'm looking at my upper and lower bounds, I got 600. The lower bound and upper bound for 600 is rounded to the nearest 10, so I got 605. And, so I'll get rid of that. 605 and 595. Okay. My working out is going to be all over the place because of my lack of space. I got 147. That could have been 147.5 because it's 1 centimetre, or 146.5. And then I've got 250. That could have been 250.5 or 249.5. Those are my upper and lower bounds for each of my things. The first one was the wall, then is the bookcase, then is the wardrobe. Now, again, I've talked about worst case scenario. Okay, the worst case scenario is the wall is the smallest length it could possibly be, the bookcase is the biggest, and the wall is the wardrobe is the biggest. Okay, so I've got to do 595, take away 147, 0.5, take away 250.5, that gives me 197 centimeters. That's the worst case scenario. That's how much room you'd have left. Well, if the computer desk is 200 centimeters, then he won't definitely have. Can Luke be certain? No, he can't be certain, because the least space that he could possibly have using the measurements we've been given is 197 centimeters. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, please share it with friends from other schools, and please tag me in other, make sure you tune in every single time, okay, and tag me in anything